Good day, everyone, and welcome to this video on 10 communication skills everyone needs. Before we begin exploring the 10 communication skills, I want you to think about one simple question. What is the one skill that affects almost every part of your life? Some people may say about education, others may say money, some may think of intelligence or hard work. All of these are important, but there is one skill that connects them all. That skill is communication. Communication is the bridge between ideas and action. It helps us express our thoughts, build relationships, solve problems, inspire people, and create opportunities. Whether you are a student, a professional, a business owner, a teacher, a parent, or simply someone who wants better relationships, communication plays a central role in your life. Many people believe communication means speaking well. While speaking is important, communication is much bigger than that. It also includes listening carefully, understanding emotions, asking thoughtful questions, using positive body language, writing clearly, and respecting different perspectives. Imagine two people who have the same knowledge. The first person explains ideas clearly, listens carefully, and makes others feel respected. The second person speaks without listening, interrupts frequently, and struggles to express the thoughts. Who do you think will build stronger relationships? Who will perform better in the interviews? Who will inspire the team? Who will earn greater trust? In most situations, it is the first person, not because they know more, but because they communicate more effectively. Communication involves almost every important decision in the life. Employers often look for the people who can explain ideas clearly and work well with the others. Customers are more likely to trust businesses that communicate honestly. Families become stronger when members listen to one another with patience and empathy. Friendships grow through understanding and respectful conversation. One interesting fact is that many workplace surveys consistently shows that communication is among the most valued professional skills. Technical knowledge may help someone get a job, but communication often helps them grow in their career by improving the teamwork, leadership, and collaboration. Communication is not only about sharing the information, it is also about creating understanding. Think about how misunderstandings happen. Sometimes people use unclear words. Sometimes they assume instead of asking questions. Sometimes they listen only to reply rather than to understand. Small misunderstandings can become large conflicts when communication is poor. Now, think about the opposite. A calm conversation can solve a disagreement. A kind explanation can rebuild trust. A thoughtful question can reveal the real problem. A good communication often prevents problems before they become serious. Another important point is that the communication is a skill, not a talent reserved for a few people. Many famous speakers were once shy. Many successful leaders improved through years of practice, feedback, and experience. Nobody is born knowing exactly how to communicate in every situation. That means every one of us can improve. Even small daily habits makes a difference. Reading regularly expands the vocabulary. Listening without interrupting builds patience. Speaking slowly improves clarity. Observing the body language increases awareness. Practicing presentations builds confidence over time. Let's also talk about the confidence. Many people believe confident communicators never feel nervous. That is a myth. Even experienced speakers often feel nervous before addressing an audience. The difference is that they prepare well and continue speaking despite those feelings. Confidence grows through practice, not through perfection. Now, let us discuss one common controversy. Some people argue that communication skills are becoming less important because artificial intelligence, messaging apps, and automation can communicate for us. There is some truth to this idea. Technology has made communication faster and more convenient. We can instantly connect with the people around the world. However, technology cannot fully replace genuine human understanding. Empathy, trust, compassion, active listening, and emotional support remains deeply human qualities. While technology can help us communicate, it cannot replace meaningful human connection. Another debate is whether introverts can become great communicators. The answer is absolutely yes. Communication is not about speaking the most, it is about helping others understand your ideas while also understanding theirs. Many quiet people are excellent listeners, thoughtful speakers, and trusted advisors because they choose their words carefully. Throughout this video, we will focus on the communication that is respectful, honest, practical, and useful in everyday life. Our goal is not to teach manipulating the people. Instead, we will learn how to build stronger relationships, solve problems peacefully, and create positive influence through genuine communication. As we explore the next 10 skills, remember that improvement does not happen overnight. Like learning a musical instrument or a new language, communication develops through regular practice. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to learn. By the end of this video, you will have practical techniques that you can use at home, in school, at work, during interviews, while giving presentations, and in everyday conversations. Always remember a simple idea. Your words can inform, your listening can heal, your kindness can inspire, and your communication can change the life, including your own. So, in the next part, we will begin with the first and perhaps the most powerful communication skill of all, that is active listening. Many people think communication starts with speaking, but true communication actually begins with the listening. That simple shift in the perspective can transform the way we connect with others. Skill number one, become an active listener. Welcome to the first communication skill, and perhaps the most important one of all, that is active listening. Many people think that communication is mainly about speaking well. They spend time learning new words, practicing speeches, and improving their presentations. While these are valuable skills, they often forget one simple truth. The best communicators are usually the best listeners. Think about someone you enjoy talking to. It may not be the person who talks the most. Instead, it is often someone who listens patiently, understands your feelings, and makes you feel heard. That is the power of active listening. Active listening means giving your complete attention to the speaker. It is not just hearing words, it is understanding the meaning, emotions, and intentions behind those words. There is a big difference between hearing and listening. Imagine you are sitting in a busy cafe, you hear many sounds, people talking, cups clinking, music playing, and doors opening. Your ears receive all these sounds automatically. Listening, however, requires focus. It means choosing to pay attention to one person and understanding what they are trying to say. Many communication problems happen because people are not really listening. Instead, they are preparing their next answer while the other person is still speaking. Have you ever experienced this? Someone asks you a question, but before you finish explaining, they interrupt with their own opinion. It feels frustrating because you feel misunderstood. Now imagine the opposite. Someone listens quietly, they maintain the eye contact, they nod to show they are following, they ask thoughtful questions, they summarize what you said before responding. How does that make you feel? Most people feel respected, valued, and understood. That is why active listening builds trust faster than impressive speaking. Interrupting sends the message that your own thoughts are more important than the speaker's. But if they avoid the eye contact and speak softly, they may actually be upset. An active listener notices these emotional signals with empathy rather than judgment. The second approach creates trust instead of fear. The employee may reveal challenges that were affecting performance, allowing both people to find a solution together. The same principle applies in the families. Parents who actively listen often build stronger relationships with their children. Children who feel heard are generally more willing to share their concerns. Friends who listen without judging often become lifelong friends. Business leaders who listen carefully usually make better decisions because they understand different viewpoints before taking action. One famous quote says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. This reminds us that understanding others should come before expecting others to understand us. Now, let us discuss a common mistake. Many people believe listening means remaining silent. Not exactly. You can remain silent without truly listening. Sometimes it also means asking questions and confirming what you heard. For example, you might say, if I understood correctly, you are saying that the project was delayed because of missing information. Some people believe that in the modern life, listening is becoming less important because people communicate through short messages, emails, and social media. Digital communication certainly saves the time. However, many misunderstandings also happen because text messages cannot fully express emotions, tone, or facial expressions. For example, a short message intended as a joke may appear rude. A delayed reply may be misunderstood as disrespect. Another debate is whether listening too much makes a person appear weak. The answer is no. Listening demonstrates patience, confidence, and emotional maturity. They gather information before making decisions. Teams would collaborate more effectively. Customers would feel more respected. Friendships would become stronger. Many conflicts could be solved before becoming serious problems. The world would not become perfect, but it will certainly become more understanding. So, how can you practice active listening every day? Put your phone away during important conversations. Allow people to finish speaking before responding. Focus on understanding instead of winning arguments, ask open ended questions, pay attention to emotions as well as words. Repeat important points to confirm understanding. Avoid making quick assumptions. Listening is not waiting for your turn to speak. Listening is making another person feel understood. And that simple act can strengthen relationships, improve careers, reduce conflict, and create lasting trust. Welcome to this video. In the last part, we learned that great communication begins with the listening. Now we will explore the second essential communication skill. Many people believe that using difficult words makes them sound more intelligent. They think long sentences, technical vocabulary, and complicated explanations will impress others. But in reality, the opposite is often true. The best communicators are not those who use the most difficult words. The best communicators are those who make complex ideas easy to understand. Think about some of the greatest teachers, speakers, or mentors you have met. They may have discussed complicated topics, yet you understood them because they explained everything in simple language. That is the true power of clear communication. The first person says the implementation of an optimized communicative framework facilitates enhanced interpersonal interaction through multi-dimensional methodologies. The second person says good communication helps people understand each other better. Both sentences try to express a similar idea. Which one is easier to understand? Most people would choose the second sentence because it is simple, direct, and memorable. The purpose of communication is not to impress the people. The purpose is to help people understand. When people understand your message quickly, they are more likely to trust you, remember your ideas, and act on them. This principle applies everywhere. In schools, teachers who explain difficult concepts simply often become students' favorite teachers. This principle applies everywhere. In schools, teachers who explain difficult concepts simply often become students' favorite teachers. In business, leaders who communicate clearly reduces confusion and improve teamwork. In customer service, simple explanations create satisfied customers. Even doctors and engineers become more effective when they explain technical concepts in language and ordinary people can understand. Now let us discuss another important aspect of speaking clearly. Before speaking, organize your thoughts. Many people begin talking before they know exactly what they want to say. As a result, they jump from one idea to another, repeat themselves, and confuse the listener. One useful method is the simple three-step structure. First, explain the situation. Second, explain the main idea. Third, explain the conclusion or solution. For example, imagine you are presenting a project. Instead of speaking randomly, you could say, first, let me explain the problem. Next, I will show our proposed solution. Finally, I will explain the expected results. Immediately, your audience knows what to expect. Organization creates confidence for both the speaker and the listener. Another important habit is speaking at a comfortable pace. Some people speak too quickly because they are nervous. Others speak too slowly, causing people to lose attention. Neither extreme is ideal. Speaking at a natural pace allows listeners to absorb your ideas. Remember, communication is not a race. Pauses are also powerful. Professional speakers often pause before saying something significant. This creates anticipation and helps the audience focus. Now, let us talk about the pronunciation. You do not need a perfect accent to become an excellent communicator. Many successful international speakers have different accents. What matters most is the clarity. Speak clearly enough that people understand your words. Never feel embarrassed because your accent is different. Confidence comes from communicating with honesty and respect. Depending on the tone, it can sound grateful, angry, sarcastic, or sincere. The words remain the same, but the meaning changes. Therefore, always try to speak calmly, respectfully, and positively. This is especially important during disagreements. You may disagree with someone's opinion without raising your voice or insulting them. Respectful communication creates opportunities for meaningful discussions. Aggressive communication usually creates unnecessary conflict. Two managers need to explain a change in company policy. The first manager uses complicated language and technical terms. Employees leave the meeting confused. The second manager explains the same information using simple examples and everyday language. Who communicated more effectively? Clearly, the second manager. Communication succeeds only when the listener understands. Let us discuss another common mistake. Some people believe talking more means communicating better. Actually, speaking too much often hides the main message. Effective communicators know how to be concise. They explain enough to create understanding, but not so much that people become overwhelmed. One useful guideline is if a shorter explanation communicates the same meaning, choose the shorter explanation. Simple does not means incomplete. Simple means clear. Many respected scientists, educators, and business leaders are admired because they explain complicated ideas simply. In fact, simplifying an idea usually requires a deeper understanding of the subject. Anyone can repeat difficult terminology. Some people believe AI will eventually communicate better than the humans. AI can certainly generate information quickly and organize ideas efficiently. However, genuine human communication involves empathy, compassion, emotional understanding, and shared experiences. Not everyone has the confidence to speak. Not everyone has access to the education or opportunities to learn communication skills. When we improve our ability to communicate, we should use that ability responsibly to encourage, educate, inspire, and support others. Words have incredible power. A few encouraging words can motivate someone to continue. A sincere apology can repair a damaged relationships. A thoughtful explanation can solve the confusion. A kind compliment can brighten someone's entire day. Here are a few practical exercises you can begin today. Read one page of a book aloud every day. Practice explaining a difficult idea to a child using simple words. Record yourself speaking and identify the areas for improvement. Replace unnecessary jargon with everyday language. Pause naturally between important points. Focus on helping people understand instead of trying to impress them. Ask trusted friends or colleagues for honest feedback on your communication. Remember this important principle. People may forget the exact words you used, but they will remember whether they understood your message and how your communication made them feel. Clear communication builds the trust. Simple communication builds understanding. Respectful communication builds lasting relationships. As we move to the next part, we will explore another powerful communication skill that often speaks louder than the words themselves. Body language. You will discover how your posture, facial expressions, eye contact, gestures, and overall presence communicate messages even before you say a single word. So far in this video, we have learned two powerful communication skills. First, we discovered that great communication begins with active listening. Second, we learn that speaking clearly and simply helps people understand our ideas. Now we are going to explore a communication skill that often speaks before we even open our mouth. That skill is a body language. Imagine that you have met someone for the very first time. Before either of you says a single word, your brain has already noticed many things. Are they smiling? Are they standing confidently? Are they making eye contact? Do they seem relaxed or nervous? Are they paying attention to you or looking at their phone? Within just a few seconds, people naturally begin forming first impressions based on these non-verbal signals. This is why body language is such an important part of communication. Body language includes everything. Your body communicates without the words. It includes your facial expressions, eye contact, posture, hand gestures, movement, personal space, and even the tone of your voice. Sometimes your body language communicates more powerfully than your words. For example, imagine someone says, I'm really happy to be here, but they avoid the eye contact, cross their arms tightly, and speak in a dull voice. Would you believe their words? Probably not. Now imagine someone says exactly the same sentence while smiling warmly, standing confidently, and speaking with enthusiasm. The message immediately feels genuine. This is because people naturally pay attention to both verbal and non-verbal communication. One of the most important aspects of the body language is eye contact. Maintaining comfortable eye contact shows confidence, honesty, and interest. However, balance is important. Looking away constantly make you appear distracted or uncertain. On the other hand, staring continuously can make people uncomfortable. A natural rhythm of eye contact creates comfort and trust. Next, let us talk about the posture. Your posture sends powerful messages. So standing upright with relaxed shoulders shows confidence and openness. Slouching may unintentionally communicate low energy or lack of interest. Good posture also helps you breathe better, making your voice stronger and clearer. Think about successful speakers. Before they begin speaking, they often stand calmly, take a deep breath, and maintain a balanced posture. Their confidence is visible even before they speak. Now let us discuss on the facial expressions. Our faces communicate emotions instantly. A genuine smile makes people feel welcome. A thoughtful expression shows interest. A calm face helps others feel comfortable during serious discussions. However, forced expressions are usually easy to recognize. People appreciate authenticity. Smile when you genuinely feel positive, so concerned when someone shares a difficult experience. Allow your facial expressions to match your words naturally. Another important element is hand gestures. Many people feel uncertain about what to do with their hands while speaking. Some keep them hidden in their pockets. Others move them excessively. The goal is balance. Natural hand gestures help explain ideas and keep the audience engaged. Now let us consider personal space. Different cultures have different expectations regarding physical distance covered during conversations. Standing too close may make someone uncomfortable. Standing too far away may reduce connection. Respecting personal space demonstrates awareness and respect. Another aspect of body language is movement. When giving a presentation, avoid pacing nervously from one side to another. Instead, move with a purpose. Walk only when changing topics or interacting with the audience. Controlled movement creates a calm and confident impression. The first candidate enters the room without greeting anyone, avoids eye contact, sits with crossed arms, and speaks while looking at the floor. The second candidate smiles politely, greets the interviewers, maintains comfortable eye contact, sits with a good posture, and listens attentively before answering the questions. Even before discussing technical knowledge, the second candidate creates a stronger first impression through positive body language. Sometimes love and respect are communicated not through the words but through attention. Your body language should support your personality rather than replacing it. Confidence grows through authenticity, not through imitation. Some people claim that body language alone can accurately reveal whether someone is lying. Movies and television often shows investigators identifying the lies simply by observing the crossed arms, nervous movements, or lack of eye contact. Looking into the camera occasionally, sitting upright, smiling naturally, and avoiding the distractions all contribute to effective online communication. Whether you are speaking in person or online, your presence still communicates. A smile can brighten someone's day. A handshake can build the trust. A supportive nod can encourage someone to continue speaking. A respectful posture shows that we value another person's time and opinions. The simple actions cost nothing, yet they can positively influence countless interactions. People do not listen to your words, they also watch your actions. When your words and body language communicate the same message, people are more likely to trust you. Developing an emotional intelligence. Many people believe that communication is only about the words. However, communication is actually about the people, and the people have emotions. Every day we experience happiness, disappointment, excitement, fear, stress, hope, frustration, gratitude, and many other emotions. If we ignore emotions while communicating, misunderstandings become much more likely. Emotional intelligence, often called EQ, is the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and respond to emotions in a positive and respectful way. It involves understanding your own emotions as well as the emotions of others. Think about this simple situation. You have had a difficult day at the work. You are tired, stressed, and worried about meeting an important deadline. When you return home, someone asks you a simple question. Instead of answering calmly, you respond with irritation. The other person feels hurt because they do not know what happened during your day. Was the problem the question? Probably not. The problem was that emotions influenced communication. This happens to everyone. That is why emotional intelligence is so important. Emotionally intelligent people first recognize what they are feeling because before reacting. Instead of saying something they may regret later, they pause, take a deep breath, and respond thoughtfully. This simple habit prevents many unnecessary conflicts. One of the greatest strengths of emotional intelligence is self awareness. It means understanding your own emotions. Ask yourself the questions like, why am I feeling angry? Why am I feeling nervous? Why did this comment affect me so much? Am I reacting to the facts or to my emotions? These questions help you understand yourself before responding to others. The next part is self control. Everyone experiences anger, disappointment, and frustration. The difference is how we respond. Imagine two managers both receive bad news about an important project. The first manager immediately starts shouting at the team. The second manager remains calm, gathers information, and works with the team to solve the problem. Both experience the same situation, only their emotional response was different. Which manager would you rather work with? Most people will choose the second manager because calm communication creates confidence. Now, let us talk about the empathy. Empathy means trying to understand another person's feelings and perspective. It does not necessarily mean agreeing with them. It simply means making an honest effort to understand their experience. Imagine a friend arrives late to meet you. Without empathy, you might immediately think they don't respect my time. With empathy, you might first ask, is everything okay? You seem worried. Perhaps they were helping a family member or dealing with an unexpected emergency. Empathy prevents unnecessary misunderstandings. One of the simplest ways to practice empathy is by listening without interrupting or judging. Allow people to explain themselves fully before reaching to the conclusions. Another important quality is emotional balance during disagreements. Disagreements are a normal part of the life. Different people have different experiences, beliefs, and opinions. The goal is not to avoid the disagreements. The goal is to handle them respectfully. Emotionally intelligent communicators avoid personal attacks. A manager with low emotional intelligence publicly criticizes the employee. The employee loses confidence and becomes afraid to ask questions in the future. Emotional intelligence is equally important in the families. Parents who understand their children's emotions often build a stronger relationship. Children who feel emotionally safe are more likely to share their worries and ask for the guidance. Similarly, friendships become stronger when people feel understood rather than judged. Some people believe emotional intelligence means being emotional all the time. That is not true. Emotional intelligence is not about expressing every emotion immediately. It is about expressing emotions appropriately. They recognize that words spoken in anger often creates problems that are difficult to repair later. Professional informants require emotional maturity. This doesn't mean pretending emotions do not exist. Instead, it means expressing emotions respectfully and constructively. The message is still honest, but it is delivered respectfully. Another modern challenge comes from digital communication. Emails and text messages often lack emotional context. A short message intended to be efficient may accidentally sound rude. This is why important conversations are often better handled through voice or face to face communication whenever possible. Someone may be facing financial difficulties, someone may be dealing with the illness, someone may simply be having a difficult day. We often do not know the full story. That is why the kindness matters. A patient response, a thoughtful question, or a few encouraging words can have a greater impact than we realize. People may forget exactly what you said, but they rarely forget how you made them feel. Communication becomes truly powerful when it combines clear words with genuine understanding and compassion. In the next part, we will discover another communication skill that transforms conversations and strengthens relationships. You will learn why great communicators are often remembered not because they always had the best answers, but because they knew how to ask the right questions. So far, we have explored four powerful communication skills: active listening, speaking clearly, positive body language, and emotional intelligence. Most people think that good communicators always have the right answers. In reality, the great communicators often become successful because they ask the right questions. Questions are powerful. They help us learn, they solve problems, they encourage people to think, they build trust, they reduce misunderstandings, and sometimes one thoughtful question can change a person's entire life. Think back to your school days. Which teachers helped you learn the most? Usually, it was not only the teachers who gave answers, it was the teachers who asked questions that made you think. Questions help people discover ideas instead of simply memorizing the information. The same principle applies in everyday communication. Imagine a manager notices that an employee's performance has declined. The manager has two choices. The first manager says, "Why are you performing so badly?" Immediately, the employee becomes defensive. Now consider another approach. The manager says, "I have noticed your work has changed recently. Is there anything that's making your work more difficult?" The second question invites conversation instead of creating a fear. Notice that both managers wanted the same information. The difference was how they asked. Good questions create understanding. Poor questions often create resistance. One of the most useful communication habits is asking open-ended questions. There are generally two kinds of questions. These usually receive very short answers. For example, did you complete the report? The answer is simply yes or no. Sometimes the closed questions are useful. However, they rarely create meaningful conversations. The second type is open-ended questions. These encourage people to explain their thoughts. For example, what challenges did you face while completing the report? Now the conversation becomes richer. The person can explain problems, suggest improvements, and share valuable information. Open-ended questions encourage thinking instead of guessing. Another powerful habit is asking clarifying questions. Many misunderstandings happen because people assume they understand what someone means. Instead of assuming, simply ask, for example, when you say the project is delayed, what part of the project do you mean? Or can you give me an example? Clarifying questions prevent confusion before it becomes conflict. Now let us consider another situation. Imagine a parent asking a child, "Did you have a good day at the school?" The child answers, "Yes." Conversation ends. Now imagine the parents ask, "What was the most interesting thing that happened at school day?" The child is much more likely to tell a story. One better question creates a much deeper conversation. You might ask, "You seem quieter than usual today. Is there something on your mind?" The second question shows genuine care. People appreciate feeling understood. Questions also help us avoid assumptions. Assumptions are one of the biggest causes of communication problems. Suppose a colleague does not reply to your email for several hours. You might assume they are ignoring you, but perhaps they are attending meetings all day, or perhaps they are dealing with an emergency. Instead of assuming, ask politely. Questions replace imagination with understanding. One of the greatest benefits of asking questions is that it shows humility. It communicates, "I don't know everything and I'm willing to learn." This attitude earns respect. People generally enjoy conversations with those who are curious rather than those who always try to appear correct. Great leaders ask questions. Great teachers ask questions. Great scientists ask questions. Great innovators ask questions. In fact, many of humanity's greatest discoveries began with a simple question: what if? What happens if? Why does this occur? Curiosity drives the progress. Now let us discuss an important communication technique called the 5 whys. When solving the problems repeatedly, asking the why helps uncover the real cause. For example, "Don't you think you are mistaken?" Although it sounds like a question, it often feels like criticism. Some people believe asking too many questions making a person appear inexperienced. Actually, the thoughtful questions often demonstrate intelligence. Today, people can search for almost any answer online within the seconds. Does that make questioning less important? Not at all. Technology provides information. Human curiosity provides wisdom. Knowing which questions to ask is becoming more valuable than ever. Artificial intelligence can provide answers quickly, but humans still decide which questions truly matter. And that is why curiosity remains one of our greatest strengths. Here are some simple ways to improve your questioning skills. Ask open-ended questions whenever possible. Avoid making quick assumptions. Listen completely before asking your next question. Use questions to understand, not to criticize. Ask for examples if something is unclear. Stay curious. Focus on learning instead of proving yourself right. Remember a powerful lesson. Good communicators provide answers. Great communicators ask questions that inspire better answers. Every meaningful conversation begins with a genuine curiosity. Now we come to a skill that many people misunderstood. That skill is persuasion. Ethical persuasion is not about controlling people, it is about helping people understand an idea clearly enough that they can make an informed decision. The final choice always belongs to them. Think about the teachers who inspired you. Did they force you to learn? Probably not. Instead, they explained ideas in a way that made learning interesting. Think about the doctor explaining why a regular exercise is important. The doctor is persuading the patient to adopt healthier habits. Let us understand the four pillars of ethical persuasion. The first is building credibility. People listen to those they trust. Trust is not built overnight, it grows through honesty, consistency, and integrity. Imagine two speakers giving advice about financial planning. The first speaker makes unrealistic promises. The second is explaining the benefits clearly. People naturally ask themselves, how will this help me? Whenever you communicate an idea, explain its path. You could say this software will reduce repetitive work, save time, and improve accuracy. Now people understand the purpose behind the change. When people understand benefits, resistance often decreases. The third is support ideas with evidence. Opinions are important. Evidence makes opinions stronger. Imagine someone says exercise is good. Now imagine another person says regular exercise improves health, strengthens muscles, reduces stress, and helps maintain overall well-being. Whenever possible, support your ideas with the facts, examples, experiences, or reliable evidences. Evidence creates confidence. Fourth one is tell stories. The stories connect with the people emotionally. Facts inform, stories inspire. Imagine you are encouraging the students not to give up after failing an examination. You could simply say, never give up. Or you could tell the story of someone who failed several times before eventually achieving the success. Now let us discuss another essential principle. Respect different opinions. Persuasion is not about proving everyone else wrong. Healthy communication allows different perspectives to exist. Suppose two colleagues have different ideas about solving a business problem. Instead of attacking each other's opinions, they discuss advantages and disadvantages respectfully. Sometimes the best solution combines both ideas. Respect creates cooperation, ego creates conflict. Ironically, these behaviors usually reduces persuasion rather than increasing it. Project manager wants the team to adapt a new working process. Instead of saying everyone must do this because I said so, the manager explains this process will reduce errors, improve teamwork, and save several hours every week. Let's test it for 1 month and review the results together. Now let us discuss a common misunderstanding. Some people believe persuasive people are naturally gifted speakers, while confidence certainly helps. Persuasion is actually a learnable skill. It is about creating understanding. Sometimes the most successful conversation ends with both people learning something new. Now let us address an interesting controversy. Ethical persuasion is transparent. It shares accurate information. It respects freedom of choice. It encourages informed decision making. Before accepting any persuasive message, ask yourself, is the information supported by evidence? Is the source trustworthy? Does the message rely mainly on the fear of facts? Are different viewpoints being considered? Good communication includes responsible listening as well as responsible speaking. Now let us reflect on the gratitude. Every day, someone influences us, teachers influence the students, parents influence children, patients, and one another, friends influences one another. Here are some practical ways to improve ethical persuasion. Always tell the truth. Listen before trying to convince others. Explain benefits clearly. Use examples and evidence. Tell meaningful stories. Respect disagreement. Never pressure people into decisions. Build long-term trust instead of seeking short-term victories. Remember an important lesson: the most powerful influence is not built through force, it is built through trust. People may forget your arguments, they may forget your presentation, but they will remember how honestly and respectfully you treated them. When communication is guided by integrity, persuasion becomes a tool for education, inspiration, and positive change. In the next part, we will explore another essential communication skills. How do we handle them? Many relationships do not fail because people disagree. They fail because people communicate poorly during disagreements. Imagine two people discussing an important issue. The first person becomes angry, the second person becomes defensive. Soon the both stop listening. Instead of solving the problem, they begin attacking each other. The original issue is forgotten. Now the conversation has become a personal conflict. Unfortunately, this happens every day. Think about the firefighters. When everyone else is panicking, firefighters remain calm because panic does not solve emergencies. Communication works in a similar way. Calmness creates clarity. Anger often creates confusion. The first step in handling difficult conversation is controlling your immediate reactions. There is an old saying, you cannot control every situation, but you can control your response. This simple idea has helped countless people strengthen their relationships. The next step is focus on the problem, not the person. Suppose a project at work has failed. Instead of saying you always make mistakes, try saying let's understand what happened and how we can improve the next time. Notice the difference. The second sentence focuses on the solution. When conversations become personal, people become cooperative. Another important communication habit is using respectful language. Even when we disagree strongly, respect should never disappear. For example, instead of saying that's a ridiculous idea, you could say, I see the situation differently. May I explain my perspective? The second statement invites discussion rather than conflict. Now, let us discuss listening during disagreement. This is one of the hardest communication skills to develop. When someone disagrees with us, we often begin preparing our reply before they finish speaking. Instead, allow them to complete their thoughts. Sometimes the people simply want to feel heard. Let us look at the workplace example. Two team members disagree about how to complete an important project. The same principle applies in the families. Parents and children may disagree. Husbands and wives may disagree. Brothers and sisters may disagree. Healthy families are not the families without disagreements. Ask yourself the question, would you rather win an argument or solve the problem? Winning arguments may satisfy our ego for a short time. Solving problems improves relationships for a long time. Some people believe that calm people are weak. They think speaking loudly or showing anger demonstrates the strength. In reality, remaining calm during difficult situations often requires greater self-control than reacting emotionally. A good communicator remembers that there is a real human being behind every screen. Sometimes we discover weaknesses in our own thinking. Sometimes we improve our patience. Sometimes we strengthen important relationships. If we approach difficult conversations with humility, they become opportunities for the growth rather than sources of conflict. Here are some practical tips you can use immediately. Pause before reacting, lower your voice instead of raising it. Focus on the facts rather than assumptions. Criticize problems, not the people. Listen completely before responding. Look for common goals. Respect different opinions and conversations with possible solutions. Conflict is not the opposite of communication. Poor communication is what turns conflict into a lasting problems. Long before the books, televisions, computers, and the internet existed, people learned through stories. Parents shared stories with their children. Teachers used stories to explain important lessons. Communities passed their traditions from one generation to another through storytelling. Think about your own life. Can you remember every fact you learned in the school? Probably not, but you likely remember stories your teachers told. You may remember inspiring stories from your grandparents. This is why storytelling is such a valuable communication skill. Facts tell, stories sow, facts explain, stories make people experience an idea. Imagine you want to encourage people to never give up. You could simply say, never give up because success takes time. That is good advice. But now imagine telling the story of someone who failed many times before finally succeeding. Perhaps an acquaintance who spent years improving an idea. Perhaps a student who struggled but eventually graduated with excellent results. The stories helps us connect emotionally with the ideas. Instead of giving a long definition, you could tell the story of a group of people working together to rescue someone during a natural disaster. The story immediately illustrates cooperation, trust, leadership, and the courage. Most memorable stories contain four simple parts. The beginning, introduce the situation, who is involved, where does the story take place, what is happening. If you talk about the challenge, every good story includes a problem. Without challenges, a story becomes boring. Challenges create curiosity. People naturally want to know that what happens the next. If we talk about solution, the main character learns something, changes or overcomes the difficulty, and this creates an hope. If we talk about the lesson, every meaningful story teaches something valuable. Ask yourself, what should people remember after hearing this story? That lesson becomes the purpose of the story. Now, let us consider an example. Imagine a young employee who is afraid of speaking during the meetings. Because of fear, they remain silent for the several months. Confidence grows through practice. Notice how much more engaging this lesson becomes when presented as a story rather than a single sentence. Do not tell stories simply to make conversations longer. Ask yourself, does this story help explain my message? If the answer is yes, then it adds value. Companies often share stories about customers whose life improved because of a product or service. Teachers share stories to make lessons memorable. Some people believe storytelling requires extraordinary adventures. That is not true. Simple, everyday experiences often makes the best stories. Helping a stranger, learning from a mistake, overcoming nervousness, receiving encouragement from a teacher. Small experiences often contain powerful lessons. The audience should never wonder, why am I hearing this part? Simplicity makes stories stronger. Now let us explore an interesting controversy. Some people argue that emotional stories are more persuasive than the facts. Others believe only the facts matter. Yet, lasting influence usually comes from meaningful stories that educate, inspire, and provide value. Here are some practical ways to improve your storytelling skills. Read books regularly to understand how stories are structured. Observe how experienced speakers tell stories. Write down meaningful experiences from your own life. Keep your stories simple and focused. Include a clear lesson at the end. Speak naturally rather than trying to memorize every word. Always be truthful. Remember an important lesson. People may forget statistics, people may forget long explanations, but people often remember a meaningful story for years. Now we will explore two skills that bring everything together. These are adapt your communication and practice every day. These two skills are connected because learning communication is not a one time achievement, it is a lifelong journey. Adapt your communication. Imagine that you are explaining the same idea to three different people. The first person is a 5-year-old child, the second person is your close friend, and the third person is the CEO of your company. Would you communicate in exactly the same way? Of course, the message may remain the same, but the words, examples, tone, and the style will naturally change. This is called adapting your communication. Successful communication begins by understanding your audience. Before speaking, ask yourself, who am I speaking to? What to do? What do they already know? What do they need to know? What examples will help them understand? These questions help you communicate more effectively. Another important aspect of adaptation is cultural awareness. Today, we communicate with people from different countries, languages, traditions, and backgrounds. Simple gestures, greetings, humor, or expressions may have different meanings in different cultures. Adapting communication also includes choosing the right communication method. Some discussions should happen face to face because they involve emotions or important decisions. Practicing every day. Many people ask, how long does it take to become a great communicator? The answer is very simple. There is no final destination. Even experienced speakers continue learning throughout their life. Communication improves through consistent practice. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. Reading a book about cycling is helpful. Watching videos is helpful and useful. Communication works the same way. Knowledge becomes a skill only through action. Fortunately, daily practice does not require expensive courses. Small habits create remarkable improvement. If you can explain a complicated concept so that a child understands it, you have truly mastered the topic. Ask questions such as, was my explanation clear? Did I speak too quickly? Did I seem confident? What could I improve? Feedback is one of the fastest ways to go. Another excellent habit is reading regularly. Books expand vocabulary, improve sentence structure, and expose us to different communication styles. In reality, the confidence usually comes after speaking repeatedly. Every presentation builds the confidence, every conversation develops experience. Every mistake teaches a valuable lesson. Do not fear mistakes. Mistakes are a part of learning. However, history repeatedly shows that consistent practice usually outperforms natural ability that remains undeveloped. Communication is a skill. Skills improve through repetition. Can AI replace communication practice? AI can certainly help organize ideas, suggest vocabulary, and provide feedback. However, genuine communication still happens between human beings. Empathy, eye contact, listening, trust, compassion. These qualities develop through real conversation. Technology can support communication. It cannot replace human relationships. Now, let us reflect on the gratitude. Every conversation you have today is an opportunity to improve. Every person you meet teaches you something. Every question expands your understanding. Every challenge strengthens your confidence. Instead of fearing communication, appreciate every opportunity to practice. Here are a few practical daily habits. Listen more than you speak. Read for at least 15 minutes every day. Practice speaking loud. Record yourself occasionally. Observe excellent communicators. Accept constructive feedback. Learn one new word every day. Smile genuinely during conversations. Remain curious. Continue improving throughout your life. Great communicators are not God. They are built through consistent learning, thoughtful practice, and genuine care for other people. Talking more than the listening. Many people believe that the person who talks the most controls the conversation. In reality, the best communicators usually spend a significant amount of the time listening. Imagine two friends having a conversation. One person speaks continuously for 20 minutes without asking a single question. The other person patiently listens, asks thoughtful questions, and shows genuine interest. Who is more likely to build a stronger relationship? Usually, it is a second person. Listening shows respect. Interrupting others, interrupting sends an unintended message. My thoughts are more important than yours. Sometimes the people interrupt because they are excited. Sometimes because they assume they already know what the other person will say. Either way, interruptions often create frustration. Mistake number three, making assumptions. Assumptions are one of the biggest causes of misunderstanding. Imagine receiving a short email that simply says, please see me tomorrow. Without asking questions, your mind may immediately imagine the worst. Perhaps you think you made a mistake. Perhaps you worry about losing your job. The next day, you discover your manager simply wanted to congratulate you. Our imagination often creates problems that do not exist. Good communicators replace assumptions with questions. Becoming defensive, receiving feedback is not always easy. When someone points out a mistake, our first reaction may be to defend ourselves. However, becoming defensive prevents learning. Imagine someone says, I think this presentation could be clearer. Instead of replying, no, it was perfectly clear, try asking, thank you for the feedback. Which part do you need improvement? Mistake number five, ignoring the body language. Yet many people focus only on the words. Imagine saying, I'm happy to help while checking your phone, avoiding eye contact, and looking impatient. Your words say one thing, your body says another. Mistake number six, speaking emotionally instead of thoughtfully. Strong emotions can influence communication. Anger, frustration, disappointment, and stress sometimes leads people to say things they later regret. Mistake number seven, lack of preparation. Many presentations fail because people underestimate presentation. Whether you are attending a meeting, giving a speech, or participating in an interview, preparation increases the confidence. Mistake number eight, using complex language unnecessarily. Some people believe complicated vocabulary makes them appear intelligent. Usually, it creates confusion. The goal is not to impress people, the goal is to help people understand. Mistake number nine, trying to win every argument. Communication should solve the problems. Ask yourself, is being right more important than improving these relationships? Mistake number 10, forgetting to show appreciation. Many people remember to point out mistakes. Few remember to appreciate good work. Simple words such as thank you, I appreciate your effort, you explain that really well can strengthen relationships dramatically. To reduce communication mistakes, listen before speaking. Avoid interrupting questions instead of assuming. Stay calm during disagreements. Match your body language with your words. Accept the feedback positively. Prepare important conversations. Express appreciation regularly. Choose kindness over ego. Continue learning every day. Great communicators are born, they are not made. Perhaps the most common belief is that good communicators are naturally gifted. People often say he was born confident, he has always been a great speaker. While natural personality may influence communication style, research and real life experience consistently show that communication improves through learning and the practice. The same is true for the communication: public speaking, listening, storytelling, negotiation, conflict resolution. All of these improve through experiences. Myth number two: speaking more means better communication. Some people believe that the person who speaks the most is automatically the best communicator. Actually, the great communication is a balance between speaking and listening. Imagine visiting a doctor. Would you trust a doctor who begins giving advice before asking about your symptoms? Probably not. A good doctor asks questions first, then listens carefully, only then provides advice. Communication works exactly the same way. The best communicators understand before they explain. Myth number three: confidence means never feeling nervous. This myth discourages many people. Someone preparing for their first presentation often thinks, I'm nervous, so I must not be confident. In reality, nervousness is completely normal. Even experienced speakers sometimes feel nervous before important presentations. Myth number four: technology has solved communication. Today, we have smartphones, video calls, emails, messaging applications, and artificial intelligence. Communication has certainly become faster, but has it automatically become better? Not always. Technology allows us to send messages instantly. Emails may sound harsher than intended. Text messages may lack emotional context. Social media discussions sometimes become more emotional than productive. Technology is a powerful communication tool. It is not a replacement for empathy, patience, and understanding. Public speaking more important than listening. This debate appears frequently. Some people admire powerful speakers, others believe listening is the greatest skill. The reality is that both are essential. Does artificial intelligence reduces the need for communication skills? It can help us write emails, summarize reports, translate languages, and organize information. However, AI cannot replace genuine human relationships. Imagine comforting a close friend after a difficult experience. Should we always say exactly what we think? Some people believe complete honesty means expressing every thought immediately. Others believe difficult opinions should always remain hidden. The healthiest communication usually finds balance. Honesty is important. There is an old saying: say what is true, say what is kind, say what is helpful. Is silence a weakness? Many people assume the quietest person contributes the least. That is not always true. Some individuals think carefully before speaking. They observe, they listen when they finally speak. Their words often carry great values. The importance of critical thinking. Modern communication requires another valuable skill, that is critical thinking. Whenever you hear persuasive messages online, in advertisements, or on the social media, ask yourself, is this information supported by evidence? Who is providing this information? Are multiple viewpoints considered? Is the message encouraging understanding or simply provoking the emotions? Whenever you hear communication advice, remember to question the common myths. Keep learning, balance speaking with listening, use technology wisely, respect different viewpoints, think critically, communicate honestly and kindly, continue improving throughout your life. Remember a powerful lesson: the greatest communicators are not the loudest people in the room, they are often the people who help others understand, grow, and feel respected. Let us take a moment to reflect on the 10 communication skills we have learned. Become an active listener. Great communication begins with the listening. When we truly listen, people feel respected, valued, and understood. Speak clearly and simply. The purpose of communication is not to sound impressive. The purpose is to make ideas easy to understand. Master the body language. Your body speaks even before your words do. A genuine smile, comfortable eye contact, confident posture, and respectful gestures strengthen your message. Develop emotional intelligence. Communication is not only about the facts, it is also about the feelings. Ask better questions. Curiosity is one of the greatest communication tools. Thoughtful questions help us understand situations more deeply, solve problems, and encourage meaningful conversations. Learn ethical persuasion. Influence should never rely on the fear or manipulation. Handle difficult conversations calmly. Disagreements are part of life. The goal is not to avoid them. The goal is to communicate respectfully, stay calm, and work towards solutions instead of creating conflict. Become a better storyteller. Stories connect people. They make ideas memorable. They inspire action. They preserve knowledge. Adapt your communication. Different people communicate differently. Good communicators understand their audience. They choose the right words, examples, and communication style for each situation while remaining authentic. Practice every day. Communication is a lifelong journey. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to improve. Think about the world around us. Almost every challenge involves communication in some way. Families become stronger through honest conversation. Friendship grew through trust. Businesses succeed through teamwork. Schools improve through understanding. Communication may not solve every problem, but better communication helps people solve problems together. Communication in the future, as technology continues to evolve, artificial intelligence, virtual meetings, and digital platforms will become even more common. Many routine tasks may become automated. The ability to communicate with other human beings, empathy, respect, kindness, leadership, collaboration, and the trust. These qualities cannot simply be downloaded into a relationship. Some people still believe success depends mainly on intelligence, degrees, or technical knowledge. These qualities are certainly important. Before we conclude, let us pause for a moment of gratitude. Be grateful for every teacher who patiently explained difficult ideas. Be grateful for every parent who encouraged you. Be grateful for every mentor who believed in your potential. Be grateful for every friend who truly listened. Be grateful even for difficult conversations. Beginning today, make one small improvement. Listen more carefully, smile more often, speak more clearly, ask one thoughtful question. So, appreciation, remain calm during disagreements. Your words have power. They can encourage, they can educate, they can comfort, they can inspire, they can solve problems, they can build trust. Choose them wisely. As you reach the end of this video, remember a simple truth. Communication is not about speaking the loudest. It is not about winning every argument. It is not about proving that you are always right. Communication is about helping people understand, feel respected, and work together towards something better. If you practice the 10 skills we discussed today, you will become more than a better speaker. You will become a better listener, a better colleague, a better friend, family member, and better professional, and most importantly, a better human being. The quality of your communication sets the quality of your relationships, the quality of your learning. Keep listening, keep speaking with the kindness, keep asking questions, keep growing, and never underestimate the positive impact that one thoughtful conversation can have on another person's life. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you find this video valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and help more people discover practical knowledge that can improve everyday life. Always remember, learning today, inspiring tomorrow, growing together. Thank you and see you in the next video.